Hi there, Serial Trader here. I want to do an update on the setups I discussed earlier in December last month and just where we're at there. So CGC, I was discussing the formation here that would lead to a nice move up, the beginning of a new large degree uptrend. Looks like that is what's taking place so far. And so we had this initial wave 1 up, 2 down, and then we had another 1, 2, and then by this count we had another 1, 2 of lesser degree. Now we're getting that wave 3 of 3 of 3 kind of action to the upside, big volume coming in. So certainly so far price action's cooperating with the wave count. So with so many 1, 2s setting up here, we'll need several 3s and 4s and 5s to the upside to complete the initial wave up out of this major bottom we had, and that will likely prove to be a almost a generational bottom here in a major marijuana company. So things I'm looking at here, obviously I like the Elliott count. I don't think we're anywhere near complete this initial move up off the bottom. In fact, I think it's just starting to build some momentum, which is nice to see. I also want to point out, so yeah, I like the wave count here obviously, but I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the last video or not, but we had a very textbook inverse head and shoulders pattern here, and now that's confirming obviously by breaking the neckline and shooting out of there. So some interesting things to kind of point out. So left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Let's get a little neckline kind of thing going on here. Oh, you'd probably call that the neckline, something like that. So an interesting thing about head and shoulders patterns, they do give a target. So you basically take that distance, and this is just an approximation. I'm not a head and shoulders expert, but I know enough about it to kind of see one when it's staring me in the face. Okay. So head and shoulders projection, basically take the distance there from the low up to the neckline, project it off where we broke out of the neckline, and that gives you a technical target just with that. So that gets you up to around, let's call it 30 or so on CGC. Now an interesting thing, that lines up with filling this gap up here, and as we know, gaps tend to get filled. So that's a nice confluence head and shoulders target. Maybe that'll be this wave 3 top perhaps, and fill the gap, head and shoulders target. I think we probably have some Fibonacci relationships. So let's just do this. We got our wave up, 1 up, 2 down. And where's our 1618 of that? All right, so that's right in there as well. That gets you to around 30 and change. We do the 1618 3 versus 1 relationship off of 2. So yeah, there's a lot of technical reasons that we appear to be heading up to that 30 area, close that gap. And if I'm not mistaken, let me quickly switch over to the Think or Swim. And is this the one I'm looking for? No, it's not. Maybe this one. Let's go here. Okay. Just clean this up here. Okay, just as I suspected. So this is the Think or Swim candlestick chart of CGC. And it looks like the 200-day moving average. So we're back above the 50-day moving average. The 20 is crossed above the 50. Obviously things are pointing up. The 200-day moving average comes in right around 30 and change. So right now it's at 30.85. So that's another technical point of interest that lines up quite well. So I just thought I'd point that out. So yeah, head and shoulders projection up there, 1618 fib, 3 versus 1, gap to fill, 200-day simple moving average. I mean, it's essentially all but assured that we're getting up there. Now, at that point, that may... Now, do we just blast through that area and keep going and extend before we have a little pullback, a little correction? Or do we kind of pause there, do some sort of fourth wave pullback, and then continue higher? We'll have to see when we get there. But just thought I'd point all those things out. And certainly CGC is finally cooperating with the bullish outlook, and I'm quite happy about that. Quite excited about the overall move. Now I don't have this, I don't have this longer term chart labeled, but you know where I stand. This being an initial 5 waves move up, 5-wave move up there into the all-time high. We've had our nice, well, not nice in some cases for some people, devastating 3-wave correction, massive percentage decline. Although from an Elliott perspective, this is what you'd you know, typically look for: 5 up, 3 down, and now we're starting that next wave up. And you know my longer term targets are well above the all-time high. In fact, you know, the large degree wave 3 target is, you know, well over $100. But we're gonna have to take it one step at a time and get this initial impulse wave up off the bottom more mature. But you can see we've got a weekly bullish MACD cross taking place. We're back above the weekly T line, and the daily obviously looking excellent. Daily MACD moving averages are back above the 0 line, so the trend is officially up on the daily. We're getting overbought on the daily RSI, which is actually good, because during this entire decline, this C wave down of 2, that larger 2, and again, sorry I don't have it labeled, but if you refer back to some of my previous CGC videos, you'll know where this overall longer term count stands. But you can see during that whole time, we never got in any danger of becoming overbought. And it was just a downward trend, relentless. But the tables have shifted here, and I'm quite optimistic that that is the bottom that we made in November, and we are just starting a very exciting move up that should last, well, a significant period of time. This correction, let's call it roughly a year. We had a good couple years or so run up before that. So in my outlook here, we're embarking on probably a 1 to 2 year large degree impulse wave up. And we're just still at the early stages of it, despite us, well, essentially doubling off the bottom. Let's see, so far we went as high as 25.97, bottomed at 13.81. So yeah, almost doubling off the bottom. And you know, just looking where we've come from, I mean, we're just getting started. So pretty exciting. Definitely, I'm very long CGC, and I don't plan on taking any significant position off until, well, until we get 100 plus. That's what I'm gunning for. Of course, I'll still trade smaller patterns and subwaves as I see them, but that'll be separate from the core position, which I'm quite happy to hold for a significant period of time to get that big move. Okay, and also, before I move on to the other setups I want to discuss, just looking at the daily candlestick chart here, very clear signals. You had a nice bullish engulfing at the bottom there to start things off. You had another bullish engulfing right here to get this going, and then you had another bullish engulfing right here to basically start this one. So you've had the bullish candlestick signals all along the way, inverse head and shoulders, the overall Elliott count, everything's lining up nicely. So things are looking up here for CGC, and also just overall cannabis space. Many things are moving quite nicely at this point. So that's CGC. And next up, GLD. So I discussed this in that video in December, and at that point we had not broken out of this channel yet. I was long GLD calls, and obviously that's worked out very well. And I don't think it's done yet. I did take some profits, but I've re-entered a new position because I think we've just kind of, so I'm long some, oh, let's see what I got into there before I get too far into the weeds here. See, GLD. Okay, I got some recently, got into some February 2020, 144 strike calls. Not super long term, but I don't think it'll be required. And you see this little fourth wave appears to be over or nearly so, and expecting another move up. Now, once we get this next move up above the 148.61 high, that could be it. That could be the extent of this move, because that'll complete a mature-looking 5-wave sequence after this nice correction. So I'll certainly be taking profits up there, and then waiting to see what the next downward move looks like, whether it looks corrective or whether it looks like we've ended a larger trend up and we're starting something more dangerous to the downside. But either way, made some nice money on GLD, and I mean, again, for another possibly final move up here, but at least one more wave up above the current high is what I'm looking for. So that's worked out quite well from that last video. So hopefully someone out there was able to take advantage of it. I certainly did, and that's why I brought it up. Okay, next, TLT. So this one I mentioned, and this is the wave count I gave in the last video. Obviously, it's developed since then, but just basically a simple ABC down and looking for the next wave up. Now we've gotten the one up. The two's gone longer and deeper than I initially anticipated, although certainly didn't break the key levels. And now potentially starting the third wave up, and then we might have a little 1, 2 of 3, and maybe a 3 of 3 in progress. And we are starting to break out of this channel, so that's a good sign. And I'm long, let's see, I am in a position here in TLT. And what do I have going on? Just to share that. So I'm long 30 of the 135 strike March 20th, 2020 TLT calls. And so far they're working, although I think they're going to start working a lot more than they currently are. Just started going, basically. But just thought I'd share that position for anyone that's interested. But okay, so I like this count. It's just a simple 3 waves down, looking for the next 5 waves up. But, okay, there's another way to look at it, but really a similar implication. So let's just delete all of that. And, alright, so what if this is a triangle? And what if we got A, B, or no, sorry. Let me rework this. So this would be the initial A down, a big A down, B up. And this is why I don't like this count as much, because it doesn't look as proportional, but I'm just trying to, you know, show another possibility here. Still bullish, by the way. So what if this is what we're working here? So we got our big A down, smaller B, C, and basically a truncated D and E, and now we're about to thrust up. It's really the same implication. You know, we're looking for, you know, 150 plus here on TLT, whether this was a ABC down and we're just working our 1-2, or whether we got our you know, ABCDE triangle, and then we're going to work our impulse wave up out of that. Doesn't really matter. Either count is strongly suggesting another impulse wave up. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. Whether it's a triangle or just a simple an ABC zigzag, doesn't really matter. You're just splitting hairs. You know, the next wave appears to be to the upside, and early signs that we're starting to break out of that range. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. So from the last video there in December, CGC's been working largely as anticipated. I think it's going to continue working in a big way over a longer period of time. GLD definitely worked. That was beautiful. And it's still working. And TLT didn't invalidate. Just starting to break out here. So this one is still ripe for a new entry if you're not in already. I may add to this upon a little more confirmation, but so far comfortable with the current position. And that's that. That's all I have to share for now. Just taking things nice and easy, playing longer term charts, not stressing myself out, and things are working out quite nicely. All right, until the next video, Serial Trader signing off.